Audiobook Club with Steve Phillips and Matthew Layton.
On this episode of Audiobook Club, we head to a parallel universe 40 years in the future, where Sherlock Holmes roams the gaslit streets of a post-apocalyptic future London.
As the darkness draws in, London seems to hold its breath, preparing itself for whatever wickedness the next 12 hours may bring. Westminster Bridge is empty, the Houses of Parliament black shadows against a steel-grey sky. The clock known as Big Ben is stuck permanently, appropriately, at 11 o'clock, the 11th hour. The moon struggles to show itself and its reflection appears briefly in the oily water of the River Thames. But then it's gone, and only the gas lamps light the way, their frail glow hopelessly inadequate against the invading night. A single man walks along the embankment, his shoulders hunched and his hands deep in his pockets, heading for Pimlico, where he rents a room. He has a slight limp. He has an old injury which makes itself known whenever the weather is cold or damp, and tonight it is most certainly both. His name is John, and he is a hospital porter, working in the lumbering construction of St. Thomas's Hospital, which is not at all saintly, and with the endless chaos, the queues in the corridors, the shortage of medical provisions, can barely be called a hospital.
Audiobook Club with Steve Phillips and Matthew Layton.
Hello and welcome to Audiobook Club, the podcast about audiobooks that likes a good shag in its bowl. I can't believe I just read that out. I certainly do not. That's not the place for it. And there's never a good time or place for I'm not even going to say. I'm not going to go lowest common denominator. You know what I mean? We're talking about
smoking is bad, kids. Smoking is bad.
Is that what it was? Oh, I see. Right. Oh, right. Yeah, okay. Well, of course, a good shag was used quite a lot actually in the 19th century, wasn't it? I suppose.
It was. In fact, didn't Holmes himself write several papers on identifying different bits of tobacco? You a Sherlock Holmes fan, Steve?
That would be elementary, my dear Matthew. That doesn't work, does it? Yes, yes, I am. Yes, love him. Love him. Who's your favourite one?
Who's my favourite one? So again, you instinctivily jump to screen adaptations.
I know. I'm so superficial.
Whereas for me, it's the great bit. The biggest book I had when I was 13 was the complete Sherlock Holmes.
Really?
We have a slight problem here in that. So if you are familiar with the Sherlock Holmes oeuvre, or indeed, like me, you're a fan. Part of the thing of this book there would be spoilers. I've even had to, the blurb at the back, which you're going to read to us later, I had to chop out a couple of paragraphs because I think the blurb gave too much away.
Ooh.
Because how we meet the characters in this one, the characters that have been established for years, there are several different twists in how it's done, and I wouldn't want to rob anybody of the joy of discovering them for themselves when they read or listen to the book, like you did, Steve.
Yes, indeed. Now, this week, I must admit, hands up, I think I was half instructed to not listen to the book this week and then be completely surprised by your musings and missives.
Yeah, well, given that your life is a little hectic at the moment and you've helped me out over the last couple of weeks, I thought, and given that I am such a Sherlock Holmes fan, I thought I would do a job and see if I can sell this book to you.
Okay.
And if by the end of this half hour or so, I've managed to sell it to you, I'll ask you at the end and we'll find out how I did. But I'm a huge Sherlock Holmes fan. As you know, I used to live in Baker Street, right opposite what used to be the Abbey National building, where the real 221B Baker Street is. The Abbey National used to employ somebody to reply to all the letters. My wife's maiden name was Moriarty, and we had Dr. Watson living upstairs. He was a lovely bloke.
Wait, was there a Mrs. Hudson as well?
There wasn't, unfortunately. He was also Dr. Wilfred Watson, and he was a dentist.
It's almost there, isn't it? It's almost like a parallel, slightly readjusted world. It
is.
You know.
It is. But rather wonderfully, when I was in Oz seeing the kids a couple of months ago, Charlotte's favourite street on the local high street is the local bookshop. And she keeps her books, her traditional pulp-based tree books, in tower form. So she's got a huge stack of books in her room, and she's very proud that the column of books is now 4 foot tall.
Oh, that's good.
So the pressure was on, and I thought, what can I get her as a special treat? And I managed to get her really what a 13-year-old would perceive a proper old-fashioned book should look like. A proper... It'll give her another couple of inches, frankly.
Yeah.
A proper complete Sherlock Holmes with gold bits on the pages and a nice brown cover and embossed and all that. And I said to...
Was it smelly?
Not yet, but inevitably sharing a room with a teenager. Yeah, sorry. But I was delighted to be able to do that. There's almost a bit where if you want to see how much Sherlock Holmes is curriculum and you're looking at audiobooks, of course, Stephen Fry reads Harry Potter. And then when he's finished that, I went, oh, look, there's a new Sherlock Holmes on Audible. Complete works. I'll download Stephen Bloody Fry again.
Really?
Yeah. So he's done, I think it may even be free, or certainly if it's just one credit, you're getting your money's worth because you're getting all 56 short stories and 4 novels. And you can go back to them as well. So I find Sherlock Holmes is so ingrained in what way. So fortunately, as I'm going to try really hard to avoid giving anything away about the plot of the book or the characters, we've got a lot to get through this week, Steve.
Yes, we certainly do. Thanks very much for introducing me, by the way. I neglected to do the furniture at the start of the show. You are Matthew Layton, and I'm Steve Phillips. There we go, done.
Glad it's that way. No, I'm not glad it's that way. I wish it were the other way round.
71 hours. That's nearly 72 hours, in fact. The definitive collection, Sherlock Holmes, narrated by Stephen Fry. How long was that studio session?
That's almost an armful.
Nice.
Right, bring it back and tell us what we're doing this week, Steve.
Well, this week we are doing Becoming Sherlock, The Red Circle. This is book 1 of the Becoming Sherlock series by Sarah J. Naughton and Anthony Horowitz, who we've spoken about on this parish many times before. The narrator is Alfred Enoch. It was released back in January of this year, 9 hours and 17 minutes from Storytel original. That is this week's book, Matt. Tell us all about it. I mean, obviously we haven't heard much from the author, have we? Oh, I guess there's Conan Doyle, of course, but of course the other authors.
Well, you would think not, but actually, we normally do the 3-step process, which is where we talk about the author first, because without the author there'd be no text. Then we do talk about the text of the book itself, you know, what lies between the covers, and we move on the 3rd stage to the audiobook production and performance. What do we think of the narrator? Does the fact that we're listening add anything? You know, what's it bring to the party? That kind of stuff. Weirdly, this week, the author bit is going to be 4 stages in and of itself. 4
stages of the first step.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I need structure.
Mini steps sort of arranged there, where we do sort of tap very small steps up the stairs till we get to the next proper step. Don't get bogged down the whole science of the podcast. Really, it puts people off, doesn't it?
It kind of does. All right. So I'm thinking, what shall I do? All right, just to immerse you in the atmosphere of what we're looking for, I'm going to play a clip from the book, a slightly longer clip that describes a bit more of the setting, and then we'll go on to look at the author. Well, there are 3 authors involved, and I think Sherlock Holmes himself is worthy of a little note. But first, here is a clip. An establishing clip. A clip that's on the page. Here it is. All right, there you go. See if this is world beating. This is world.
Keep your world beads to yourself. Thanks very much.
That's next week, isn't it?
No, it is actually. Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Yeah. This is the world building of this book. This is the bit I don't mind giving away, and it sets the scene really nicely.
In London, there had been a two-way migration. The wealthy left. The poor not only stayed behind, but were joined by millions more. And gradually, imperceptibly, they had become used to a way of life that was more reminiscent of Charles Dickens than the 21st century. When the electricity supply faltered, the gas lamps flickered back on. With the price of petrol out of anyone's reach, horses were suddenly the easiest way of transport. And why not? Even at the height of London's financial success, it had been said that the average speed in the streets was only 4 miles per hour. The food banks not only stayed, they became ubiquitous. The homeless almost outnumbered the homed, and most of them gave up begging when they realized there was nobody left to give. Public services largely became a memory. Every day was a new struggle. And yet, life went on. It's one of the most remarkable aspects of humanity that people will accept the situation in which they find themselves and somehow make do. There were still pubs, clubs, restaurants, theatre performances, families, schools, holidays in the Lake District, buses, taxis, and traffic jams. It was just that everything had become a little bit more difficult, a little bit more Victorian.
I love that.
God, EastEnders has gone really depressing, hasn't it?
Well, it says that's 40 years in the future. And of course, the genius part of it all is, how do you...
It's probably going to happen.
It doesn't sound that far off, does it? And the idea that how do you get that whole thing of gaslit streets and coal fog in the air and the smell of horse manure on the street, and have it set in the future at the same time. And to be honest, it doesn't feel that much of a leap, does it?
Not now, really. No, it's going to be. I mean, some might quite like the idea, a bit of a return to. Cholera and the like.
Poor hygiene. So the original material of this, of course, is written by Sir Arthur Ignatius Conan Doyle, who was born on the 22nd of May, 1859, and passed away on the 7th of July, 1930. He was a British writer and physician. He created the character Sherlock Holmes in 1887 for A Study in Scarlet, the first of 4 novels, and 56 short stories about Holmes and Dr. Watson. The Sherlock Holmes stories are milestones in the field of crime fiction. I really enjoyed reading about him, actually. It turns out not only was he a physician, he studied eye surgery in Austria and France. He played in goal for Portsmouth Amateur Football Club under a pseudonym.
Wow.
He was on the board of the National Rifle Association, where he campaigned for miniature rifle ranges in local neighbourhoods so that firing a gun could become more affordable for working class people, Steve.
Oh, what a nice thing to do for people.
Well, I don't think arming the lower class is a very good idea at all, Stephen.
Very Victorian podcast we're on now. But yes.
I'm from the future.
Do you know how classy this podcast has got? Is that we're talking about someone who played for a football club under a pseudonym.
Oh, no.
Usually it's books, isn't it? It's usually, you change the name of the author, but no. Yes, I played for Plymouth Argyle under an assumed name.
He also, get this, he stood as an MP twice. He was brought up a Christian, but then turned to be a spiritualist and a Freemason. And my favourite, he was a judge in the world's first bodybuilding competition.
Oh, I do love it. Is this the definition of polymath? I might have gone out my depth immediately because I need to look at that.
It is, yeah.
I mean, standing as an MP twice. Now, this is not so unusual because actually, and I have a little story of my own here, my granddad stood as an MP in the constituency of South Woodford. Currently, well, at the time, the incumbent was Winston Churchill. And my granddad stood under the party of More Public Toilets for South Woodford party. He obviously lost his deposit. Pardon the pardon. Thank you very much. Wasn't even aware I was doing that. But yeah, he did. Yeah, good old granddad. Then again, he might have told a tall tale in his time, so whether it was true or not, I don't know. But whether it's true or not, it's a fact.
Yeah, it is now. So obviously his biggest creation was Sherlock Holmes, fictional detective, and the most portrayed. I mean, I don't want to go too far into explaining who Sherlock Holmes is. I think people are aware, particularly as he is the most portrayed literary human character in film and television history, according to the Guinness World Records in 2012. It has been reinterpreted. You and I can think of the Robert Downey Jr. films with Jude Law as Watson that came out in this century alone. We've had that. We've had Ian McKellen in 2015. The one that I think this book relies on, and I will ask you to have a closer listen to some of the performance later on. This conjures in your head the Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss BBC Sherlock and Watson, which starred Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman.
Now I'm in.
Yeah, well, you know what? When I've got a little clip later on when we get to talking about the audiobook itself, where I'm going to say to you, have a listen to this and see if you think that's what it's based on, because it's really hard to do a Martin Freeman impression, but I think the narrator does a really good job. I last year watched all of CBS's Elementary with Johnny Lee Miller and Lucy Liu. The future productions, David Thewlis is going to play Holmes in the upcoming series Sherlock and Daughter. And Hero Finds Tiffin will be in the Young Sherlock video series. And of course, then there's House.
House? Really?
Yeah.
Tell me more.
The clue's in the title, Steve.
Oh.
So Holmes,
yes,
House and Holmes,
and Holmes, yes,
yes. He had a friend called Dr. Watson. Dr. Wilson, which is not far off Dr. Watson. If you have a little look, if you Google Hugh Laurie House Home, you'll notice he's standing in front of a little plaque that says 221B. And what he does, of course, is combine both of Conan Doyle's worlds by looking for clues and deducing things. House is I think an 8-series American TV show that was based on Sherlock Holmes. You can have that one for free.
Wow, I did not know that. I've never seen House. I must. I understand it's one of those ones you really have to watch. Yeah, references to Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah,
he said consulting Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Wow, it's all over the shop, isn't it, with these references in House?
Yes, but the thing is, right? Yeah, basically in English-speaking Western countries, so the UK, Canada, America, Australia, because it's more than 70 years since Sir Arthur Conan Doyle died, basically the intellectual property is in the public domain. So those are all examples of things that have been done well, I think. I've happily watched most of those. But particularly in the last couple of weeks, when I've been looking around for other audiobook reimaginings of Holmes, there is a lot of people who really shouldn't have been allowed near a word processor who have produced some utter bilge, I have to say.
Yeah.
And I don't do negative on this show. I try not to, but really not all of it is good. That's. I mean,
it's like life, isn't it? There are some good, sort of people who are developing some good homes, and there are some people developing some bad homes, which gives you the state of housing across the UK at the moment, I suppose, isn't it? Really?
I see what you've done there. Right. So this one. Not worried when I got to it. In fact, was delighted when I came across it, because it is it says written by. We'll come to this in a bit, but it from an idea from Anthony John Horowitz, CBE, who is, again, who has been covered on this show. He's the only person to have been asked by both the Conan Doyle estate to write Sherlock Holmes novels and by the Fleming estate to write James Bond novels. So, you know, you start from a good place. The person who's putting this all together has official approval and they're fussy. So he wrote his own 2 Sherlock Holmes universe novels, The House of Silk in 2011 and Moriarty in 2014, both of which I very much enjoyed. We've covered one of his... We started talking about the Daniel Hawthorne series. The word is murder, the sentence is death on this particular podcast. And I have to say... And then there's the Magpie Murders, which has been recently adapted by the BBC. I have to say, Steve, I've spoken to you before about the bit where I didn't read a book for 20 years and then suddenly discovered the Audible app in about 2024. And I think in the second part of my life with books, in the second chapter, I think Anthony Horowitz has been my favourite author. So I was absolutely stoked, I believe the young Americans, to kick into this book. So you feel like you're not only in safe hands, but you actually might have a good time with this.
Classy hands. I love the way he inserted himself into his own novels.
So good, isn't it? Yeah. And again, I think this is possibly part of the long road to seeing if we can get Mr. Horowitz to come and talk to us, because the Hawthorne series of books were read by Ralph Fiennes, basically being a curmudgeonly, slightly unpleasant fictional version of Anthony Horowitz, are, as a fan of the genre, I think they do something really new and masterful.
Yes.
So there's also somebody else. He's brought someone else on board who I'd never heard of before. Second week in a row, and only for the second time ever, an author who has no Wikipedia page. We're so cutting edge.
There you go, Jenny. You're in good company here.
Yeah, we're cutting edge, mate. Mind you, she has written 16 novels, so that may be an omission on her part, frankly. Sarah J. Naughton was born in 1975, grew up in Dorset. She studied English literature at UCL and has been in London ever since, spending 10 years as a copywriter in an advertising agency before having children. She was shortlisted for the Children's Book Award, Costa Children's Book Award for Hanged Man Rises, and she now writes psychological fiction for adults. So in many ways, I think she's well positioned to be writing... she's about the same age as us, Steve. She's writing a bit of Sherlock for our generation.
She's annoyingly successful.
Yeah.
We better get writing, dude. Actually, we never talk about this, so I'll say it for a note in the margin and bring that feature back at the end of the podcast. But pin it for the moment. If you could write a book, what would you write it about? But yeah, carry on.
Well, you know what? In the case of this one, it's already been done. So the clever bit where they've turned off all the power and made things difficult and made London a bit more Victorian, although it opens with a plane crash. The Shard is no longer the tallest building in London. There's a maglev train, so you get and there are also sort of Elon Musk and similar oligarchy type figures in it as well. So there's a lot of modern context, and the future that it creates doesn't feel. I hope you agree with me so far, Steve. The 2 clips that you've heard, it doesn't feel too impossible. It's a believable future, I think.
Is it like sort of the alternate 1985 in Back to the Future? Back to the Future 2. Remember that, when Biff was the big owner of the local casino, and he dominated the whole kind of Hill Valley environment and economy.
I loved Back to the Future 2.
Oh, it's my favourite one.
I think I've been saying that for years. Now I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I loved looking at the future. I've always had a thing for a good old-fashioned dystopian future.
Yeah, that's it.
This most certainly is.
Hang on, is that Elon Musk and Trump at the moment then? Biff from the alternate 1985. We've got it.
But I still have to do my own blooming shoelaces. It's so irritating. All right, the bit that everybody tunes in for on this particular audiobook club podcast thingamajig is the bit where Steve reads the blurb from the back of the book. Steve, roll 'em.
We're 40 years into the future, and London is a city in decay. John Watson has returned from medical service in the war in Afghanistan and lives by himself in a run-down part of town. On his way home from work, he stumbles upon a beaten man in the street, unconscious and completely naked. His chances of survival are minimal. The same evening, a passenger plane crashes in Richmond Park. The Red Circle, the first instalment in the upcoming trilogy Becoming Sherlock by international bestseller Anthony Horowitz, known for Midsummer Murders, Foyle's War, Alex Rider and Hawthorne, and Sarah J. Naughton.
Beautifully read, Steve. Thank you. Look, as I said, I this book, and I've also listened to book 2, has been written with a great deal of love for the original. People who are fans of Sherlock Holmes, or have been fans for half a century like I have, and indeed people who are new to Sherlock Holmes like my children, there's something in there for all of them. You get the standard characters. I don't want to give it away, but Holmes and Watson work together. They live with their landlady, Missy Watson. Lestrade and the other Inspector Lestrade is there, as are a couple of other familiar detectives. 221B in Baker Street is there, but not in its traditional role. There are obscure references to the Reichenbach Falls, to Brother Mycroft. You know, when you get into the next level of fandom, when there's stuff there they've played even more with those ideas. But again, I just really don't want to give it away, and would encourage people. Part of the thing is unwrapping the gift, if you know what I mean. So the little twists of how, much in the way that Anthony Horowitz, with the Hawthorne books, has put himself in there, and that's unusual. In fact, a slightly unpleasant version of himself in there. This is full of similar ideas of that level of quality. The writing is great, actually, I hope I can still get away with this without giving too much away, but the performance is great as well. I did say to you before that I wanted you to listen to the clip that showcases. I've managed to get 3 of the voices in there. It's read by a guy called Alfred Enoch.
Yeah.
I don't know where. If you picture in your head the narrator you heard at the beginning, what would you say? What type of person is conjured up in your mind?
Well, he had shades of Cobner Holbrook Smith.
Yeah, and you're quite right. But again, he's half Brazilian, half British.
I've heard that name somewhere, Alfred Enoch. I've heard it somewhere, and I can't for the life of me place where it is, but I think it's familiar. Okay,
well, what does the name Ian Chesterton mean to you?
That's it. His son. That's it. Yep. There you go. Bingo. Saw him on the one show talking about it.
Unfortunately, Sherlock, you've skipped a couple of stages. Can you please?
Oh, sorry.
For those of us who've only discovered this name in the last 30 seconds, please can you say who Ian Chesterton is and his relationship to Alfred Enoch, and you can have a look in the script if you need any help with any other names.
Yep. Okay. Right. So, dear listener, William Russell, who played the part of Ian Chesterton, one of the very first companions ever in Doctor Who back in 1963. He holds the record, by the way, William Russell, and indeed the character Ian Chesterton, for being the longest running companion in the series, having appeared in 1963, and then his final appearance was was in 2022,
right,
just before he died at 99.
Gentle listener, can I just inform you that, of course, that is not in the script. All I've written down is William Russell / Ian Chesterton, but
sorry about that.
Steve has that knowledge to hand from his head. This is the depth he has in knowledge on the Doctor Who stuff. So yeah, you're right. There is there is acting pedigree. He went to Westminster School, which is really interesting. So I went to the school that's one level down from that. My dad didn't want me to go to Westminster because where all my friends were going, because he thought I would turn out to be too much of a posh knob. So I got sent to City of London School round the corner. So, but I can relate to it, and I think that allows him to do both the posh people and the proper Londoners without actually causing anybody any offence in either way. We all change registers in our voice. But here, have a listen to this. And I argue strongly, Steve, that in this clip, Alfred does such a great job of differentiating between the voices, and I think it's based on the Sherlock, the Stephen Moffat, Mark Gatiss Sherlock of the late 2000s, early 2010s. Have a listen, see what you think.
Cool.
The room is dominated by an oak dining table and a cooking range, which must have retained some warmth overnight because the room is cosy and welcoming. Holmes has already taken the seat nearest the range and is leaning back with his long legs stretched toward the heat. "I'm just making breakfast," Missy says. "What would you like?" "I've already eaten, thank you," John says, "but I wouldn't say no to a cup of tea." "Do you have any bacon?" Holmes asks. John frowns at him. "You had breakfast at the hospital." "But I missed dinner last night, so I'm still in deficit, and Missy only had cheese on toast, so she's probably ravenous. Bacon sandwiches would be lovely, no rinds, thank you."
How good is that Martin?
He's brilliant.
Watson has traditionally been mustachioed with big side whiskers.
Yes.
Came from Afghanistan like that. Whereas Martin Freeman was a more relatable modern version of a contemporary army medic. But it's partly his everyman character, the way he can almost not be there. But somehow I think Alfred Enoch has nailed it in there, hasn't he?
Completely. Yeah, absolutely. He's pretty much nailed it on there. He really captured a modern day. Well, it actually does Holmes as well. Getting Holmes there as well. I sort of did picture, Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman in that passage there. That's exactly what I picture right now when I'm listening to that narrative.
All right, and obviously you've tiptoed through the political correctness minefield, and I'm just going to stomp into it after you in my own traditional way. And do you remember when Ben Aronovich was on? And he said that once he decided that Peter Grant wasn't a woman, when he said on this very here podcast that he went to his publisher and because he kept coming up with all of these different people from different places and that Peter Grant was black, "You're going to need to find me a black voiceover artist to do this. This cannot be done by a white person." And I think that's I don't know. It's just there's just a beautiful gentleness to the Missy. What's she called? Mrs. Hudson. Missy Hudson, to the Missy Hudson portrayal in this one as well. Which and we talk about it here because. You best believe they thought about it. It turns out that Alfred himself is, as I say, half Brazilian, half British, 37 years old. He played Dean Thomas in all of the Harry Potter films. He was in How to Get Away with Murder, and of course he was in Sherlock. But I don't know what part he played in Sherlock. I didn't have time to research that. I've obviously been, carrying this podcast for 2 this week, so you'll forgive me.
Yes. I've got no rights on this one, mate. Absolutely.
Nah. Well, that brings us to the bit, which is, have I sold it to you, Steve?
I am totally downloading this. This is absolutely. I'm really, really up for the. The reason why is I I think I was going up to Manchester for work, and I sort of downloaded a couple of Sherlocks for a bit of old, bit of archive and golden telly watching. And
since you've been blocked by the company on the hotel account for getting the movies in the hotel room, yes.
Is that still a thing these days?
I don't know.
Can that still happen?
It's all Bluetooth, isn't it?
It's all Bluetooth and coffee cups and things. But I downloaded that where it was actually when Sherlock had the Reichenbach fall. He and Watson had believed him to be dead for 2 years. And then he pops up again, bold as brass, in a restaurant. And it's just seeing the reaction of Martin Freeman to Benedict Cumberbatch's Sherlock, just reacting to being allowed to grieve for 2 years by his best friend thinking he was dead. And it was just a brilliant sequence, just amazing. And that's what I picture with this.
So I'm one level up from you there. And of course, that comes from... I'm not as good at Sherlock Holmes as you are at Doctor Who. But that is, of course, because... Sir Arthur Conan Doyle got bored of writing Sherlock and wanted to kill him off.
Yeah.
And then by popular demand, he had to bring him back. And that happened.
Yes.
And that happened in real time.
He had 5 guineas waved in front of it, more money than he'd ever dreamed of.
Well, and also his mother really didn't want him to kill off Holmes either. So, and... Well, there was. I think it roughly is early 1890s when this happens, and he goes back to Holmes for another 30 years. But So you're right. In that particular version, it was portrayed really powerfully. But it's the reason I did a bit of Arthur Conan Doyle in here because the source material is so strong, and it seems the source material was even stronger than the author's will. It's like Conan Doyle killed Holmes off, and he still came back.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
What do you do? But I mean, that going back to EastEnders, that happens an awful lot there as well, doesn't it?
Comes back as a different actor. Yes.
Yeah, different actor, Dirty Dan, all the rest of it.
But that's part of the joy of this.
Yeah.
This is the first book in a trilogy. The second book is called The Irregulars. The third book is called The Magician. As far as I can tell, so both of the first 2 books were released in January. I got a little confused because, very unusually, Audible labelled book 2 as book 3. So I went, well, I'm going to listen to it anyway. I enjoyed book 1 so much. I enjoyed the Red Circle so much. I'm going to read this Irregulars, even if it is book 3. But it turns out that's a Muzzpront by Audible. You can, and I have, do the first 2 books. I think that again we've got a Lee Child, Andrew Child situation where Anthony Horowitz conceived the idea, and as the series progresses, he's more in a sort of an on-high position, and she's doing the heavy lifting. So the credits have changed there. I think the second book is more Sarah J. Naughton from an idea by Anthony Horowitz. But yes, I want to know when the third one is available, and I shall be pouncing on it instantly.
Well, that's a sign of a great new trilogy, isn't it? If that's how you feel about it, and in terms of just to go back to Alfred Enoch again, we're saying narrator or performer here.
Oh, performer, 100%. But again, it's really hard for me because all of those voices are the voices you hear around you in London. They're quite nuanced. From Missy, who I think Missy is of West Indian descent. The Martin Freeman John Watson is a white middle class everyman, and Sherlock Holmes seems to be some sort of autistic landed gentry. But I'm surrounded by those voices all the time, so I almost didn't notice the performance, if you know what I mean. But on second listen, you just go, that's really subtle, and all of those voices are really different, and just beautifully delivered. Most certainly, again, I think this might circle back and become It's certainly on my shortlist of the 10 or so books we've done this year. It's in the top 2 in terms of narrator performance.
Oh, fantastic! Who's your top 1 at the moment? As we're doing a running thing.
I can't remember, but I remember you were outraged that I called it so early, so I have to go back and look at my notes. But I think I called it. I think I called it very early, but I can't remember what it is now. Was it Art Malik? It might have been Art Malik.
Oh yes, yeah, that was amazing, wasn't it? That was a fantastic performance, Art Malik with
Hanif
Qureshi's book, absolutely.
Yeah, Shattered.
Yeah, absolutely. What a fantastic read that was.
Glad I remembered that.
Yeah, well done. Right then, well, are we ready for a gear change next week?
Get us out. Yeah, all right, go on.
Okay, so we got to promise not to behave like 2 juvenile schoolboys in this one.
Can I just say this is all your idea?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you how it came about is that
No, hold on. Can I just say, before I do anything, I've been put on warning. I got off a train at Victoria Station this week, and the lady in front of me had one of those linen carrier bags slung over her shoulder. And it
a tote bag,
unbleached cotton.
Yes.
Shopping bag, like a Dawn Books
a tote bag. Yes, that's what the commoners call it, Matthew. Absolutely right. A tote bag.
Good.
It's some sort of rough material bag. Yes.
What was she doing? Carrying her own luggage.
What?
Had she lost her bearer? But and it said on the side of her bag in giant 150 font letters, "Your sexist jokes are boring me."
Yeah. So there you go.
I'm very much aware that we're going to have to find a way around that next week.
You got a memo on a tote bag there, didn't you? Right. Next week's...
The universe is talking to me, Steve.
Next week's book, and we're inviting a guest on again next week, who's going to be guiding us through this book. And this is Gillian Anderson's latest. Well, actually, I'll say latest. It was back in September last year. But Gillian Anderson writes, along with Anonymous, in inverted commas or speech marks, and narrates Want, Sexual Fantasies by Anonymous, out by Bloomsbury, 12 hours long, and came out on the 5th of September. That is next week's book, which we're going to be doing with a friend of mine, Lauren. She's going to be coming up and talking us through the book and the narrative and Gillian Anderson's performance, as it were.
Hashtag Titty ye not.
Indeed. The more prominent hashtag we like to use is hashtag Audiobook Club on all the socials. Let us know what you're listening to right now.
That's why they pay them the big
just
bucks.
Trying to really gloss over what you just said there. So yeah, let us know what you're listening to. Have you listened to Sherlock, Becoming Sherlock the Red Circle? What did you think of it? And also, what are you listening to you think we should be listening to? We've also started doing a little series as well. This is sort of sideline to actually bring all the emphasis on the word club by bringing an audiobook clubber onto a dedicated episode where they bring a book to the table. And if you've got one you'd like to bring on, then do get in touch with us at Audiobook Show, both on Instagram and on Blue Sky. We're posting there. Again, been a bit lax the last couple of weeks, admittedly, but I'll get back on it. But until next week, when we're going full thrust with... I can't believe I just said that. That was just to fill time. We're going to be talking about Gillian Anderson's Sexual Fantasies by Anonymous, and that's next week's book, right here on Audiobook Club. Let's stop the podcast and get people getting back to their lives and onto their next feed.
Can I go now?
Yeah, see you later. Bye.
Audiobook Club with Steve Phillips and Matthew Layton.
On to their next feed. What are we, birds? Is that Trill? Go and have your feed. Yeah. Oh dear. I think we better stop the recording, eh?